Good afternoon, and welcome to the Mother's Board. Today is August 30th, 2024, and I am Dr. Mack, and we will be joined shortly with Pastor Shirley, and we have others who will join us as we go along. We start each session with a very short prayer. So we will ask that God watch and bless and give us the wisdom to say the right things and to do it without prejudice. And if there is prejudice, we pray that the Lord will remove that prejudice so that we can stay facts only. This is a very stressful time, and we have at least a couple of weeks to catch up on. We do want to talk about the Democratic National Convention, but we also want to talk about current issues. And we actually start at top of our program off with a sports question, and then we move into a political question, and then we move into a church type question, and the rest of our questions are of cultural interest to our viewers. Before we do anything, we thank you for joining us today and we invite you to share your comments positively, hopefully, or negatively. We grow when you tell us what you don't like. However, we would like for you to post what you do like sometimes. Our first question today is I wasn't able to print my questions off, so Pastor Shirley, welcome
Okay.
aboard today.
Yes.
So, would you like early comments? It's good to see you. Would
Oh,
you like early comments and to read question number one?
hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Mack. Thank you so much. Yes, I am so excited about today. And our first question is, what are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys negotiations with Dak Prescott and C.D. Lamb? Do you think the Cowboys will be fair and come around for Dak? And
Well,
so yeah, so I thought about that. I don't comment on sports a lot because I don't know a lot about football. I know when they make a touchdown, I know when they kick a field goal, and I know, like the scores, but I know one thing, the Cowboys are my favorite team and in football because they're our home team. And then the next team, my children are going to say, "Oh, that's the Chiefs. That's McCombs, right?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
McCombs. That's my second favorite team. Well, the Texans also. So I don't watch. I like for my teams to win. I don't watch a lot of it, but I do keep up with it whenever I see news reports and comments and things about that. And then also, I know we don't have anything that will influence probably them signing Dak and doing what we feel like they should do. But I tell you one thing about this money, it's so much money going around. And I said, my goodness, what? And CD, and then I was asking my son, I said, do you think that they're like setting not trying to deceive people, but they are doing what they do in the negotiations and to keep us interested in what are they going to do next. I think that's the best way that I can do that because I believe like CD Lamb, that man got 136 and some said $46 million, and he's guaranteed $100 million. That's a lot of money. That's the kind that almost chokes me. And then I know that like they're saying, and I was just reading, Alexa, she's the all-knowing one, and I asked her, oh, it's just about an hour ago, and I asked her if they had signed Dak yet. And she said they have not signed him, but they have tagged him. And that means that he is forced to play the next season without being signed. And so when I was reading up on him, it was saying that also that if they don't sign him in the allotted time, that he will be the most valuable free agent out there in the football world. And so, I mean, I said, wow, that is wonderful. But then I just, I don't have, I don't usually use these, what do they call them? These sayings, what do they call them? But anyway, like people say, I don't have a dog in that fight. I couldn't put one there if I had one to put in there because that kind of money is just totally, completely over my head. But then they keep us so interested in it. And if they are worth the money, if they are valuable enough for you to want them, whoever, Mr. Jones, whoever, me, was it Mr. Jones? He got a thing going on. Whatever his thing is, hey, whatever he's worth in the football world, then hey, just give it to
Pay it,
the man.
pay it.
Yeah, that's my comment. So,
Well, I go back with the Cowboys to Tom Landry, and the
hmm
first thing I always think about is what Thomas Henderson said about the plantation system. But I felt a little better when Jones came in, being from Arkansas.
hmm
However, that was a little thing. But regarding Dak, Dax will always be my Louisiana gentleman. He's from a town that Halton City, not Bossier. I
hmm
know some media said Bossier, some said Shreveport, but he's from Halton City, which is a very small town.
uh-huh.
I'm very thrilled that C.D. Lamb got the $136 million over a 4-year period,
Me too.
$38,000 signing
Woo-wee.
bonus.
My
You know, I'm
Lord.
I'm thrilled to death
Me
that
too.
that he got that, and I applaud his agent, and I think so. Now, and I'm just the details of that over that 4-year period.
hmm
It's just staggering. It's more money than most people can even phantom. With that, this contract should have already been signed. And I love the comments that he gave on yesterday when he was asked by a reporter, had he heard or seen Jerry Jones' comments? This, I mean, I know, as you said, Jones likes publicity, and please don't put a microphone in his face. But this is a person's livelihood, and that's not, if you want to raise interest in the team, win. And he was the second most valuable player last year. You know, he
hmm
is, and he says you got to see, you got to know, and all this foolishness. I'm thinking he has shown you over the last 7, 8 years what he can do. Now, what let's don't be silly here. And he's a man. He has a family, and you know how I feel about the little MJ. But 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 I just think you should pay him what he is worth. Now, you are also bringing in the fact that quote unquote he's leader on the field. Well, if he's leader on the field, a leader is only as good as those that he has following him. If you are going to pay the followers hundreds of millions of dollars, then you
Ooh,
need to pay the leader because you get what you pay for.
that's
Not that
right.
that's honorable man, like I say, Louisiana man. He's going to go out there and do his job, but he would play better if he were not worried about a contract. He said that he was not. He no longer pays attention to what Mr. Jones says in the media. He stopped doing that a long time ago, which I think is very bright, exceedingly bright, because this man says things that make me go, He's a millionaire. He owns the team. My
Billionaire,
favorite
isn't he?
team, billionaire. My favorite team happens to be New Orleans Saints. I
All
always will.
right.
My Robert's favorite team was the Cowboys. That's why I can go so far back with Bob Hayes and all those in the Ring of Honor. I actually liked Jimmy Johnson. I did. But regarding Dax, let's be right with it's a business. He has a negotiating team, and even though he says it's not going to bother him, subconsciously it's there.
Yeah.
You know, let's do right. That's all you have to do. Yeah, give the Louisiana gentleman his due. He has adopted Dallas as his home, so let's give him his due.
That's
Be
it.
right. Let Thomas Henderson be wrong. That plantation system, you know it's wrong. Do what's right. Do what's right.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
And
Do
like
the
we
right.
say, like I say, I know I don't have anything to do with this, but if you're going to put it out there before me, I do have an opinion. How about you, Dr. Mack? Hey, give the man, and like you saying I was thinking of the chattel slavery and all that on the auction block and all that. So
Yes.
hey,
Yes.
if
Yes.
if the head man is worth the money, give it to him. So he deserves more than. I'm not saying that this CD Lamb. I'm saying he's worth every penny and then
Oh
more.
yes.
But then if Dak is leading this team, he's worth more than that.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
agree. I
hey,
agree.
so he doesn't really have anything to lose. I'm sure he hadn't spent all of his other millions up. But anyway, we will,
I doubt it. He's got too many. But I just believe you get what you pay for. But
right,
if you want quality, pay for quality,
pay for
please,
quality.
because you cannot go to the dollar store and go up to Nordstrom and get the same thing. It doesn't work that way. Nordstrom is Nordstrom, dollar store is dollar store.
Right, right. So I believe they're going to go ahead and do what they need to do. I think it's just it's a
PR stunt.
yes, exactly. You have it right on the head. Yes, ma'am. I really believe that. And I was asking my son, I said, you think it's just that they know that they're going to do it, but they're just dragging it out just, for us. And so I believe that's what it
I
is
think
too.
that's cruel. I
Mhm.
really, you know,
Stop
you're right.
messing with us.
Yeah, don't do it. Give the Louisiana man his due now.
That's right.
Give it
That's
to him.
right. Because they're not telling him to go on his way, are they?
I'm
They're holding
sorry.
him. They're not telling him, well, you just go on your way if you want to leave. They're not
No, no,
telling him
no,
that. Mm-mm.
no,
So
because the first game is coming up, and
right.
you expect him to play to his highest, and
Mhm.
you can't buy a Super Bowl. Everyone has to be on the same page, looking out the same windows, singing the same notes in the hymn in order to
Exactly.
get to the Super Bowl. And you can't force people that way. It has to become part of that overall team,
Right.
TEAM. There's no I in team. So just do it right.
No. Hey, Sylvester.
That's the best.
I hear Sylvester.
He wants to
Okay.
know.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think we did that well. We're studying this football. You might already know a lot about it, but I don't. But I'm going to learn it because we're covering these subjects, and a lot of people can learn from what we say. So I'm excited about that. Now, somebody knows new football, since she's not walking among us anymore. That was Mama, because all of my brothers played football and she could call those plays. I'm telling you. But I would just be sitting there looking and listening to Mama because I said, "Ooh, she can call all those plays. She knows exactly what's happening. So before it's over, I'm gonna know exactly what's going on."
It's a
Okay,
good
thank
way
you.
to release stress.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Thank you so much. Number two. Now that the Democratic and Republican national conventions are over, what do you think about them? Do you have positive points from each one of them?
Okay. Well,
And
here we
you
go.
can give any point, positive or negative.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I when I saw that question, I said, okay, it's the who, what, when, where, and how situation for both of them. So the RNC was first, and it was as different as daylight is to dark. They were definitely polar opposites. You know, one is in Milwaukee, the other is in Chicago,
Hmm.
and actually the tone, the city, the cultural aspects of the cities are totally different, even though they're not that far apart.
Hmm.
Um, but one was very demanding if you looked at the place cards that the candidates were holding, one was like the, you know, very negative, just and just sort of cruel, and
Mm-hmm.
it had taken those comments on there were directly from the presumptive nominee. And the other one was sort of like a high school pep rally. I mean, they are more exciting than the college pep rally, but it was just so full of joy, and one was sort of dismal, and the other is full of hope. And let's look towards the future. And the other one, the RNC, was like, let's get even for what we consider things that have been done to us that were wrong in the past. So let's just get even. And even the persons who were invited, there were a lot of celebrities at the RNC. And I'm like, what are you here for? You're not a politician. I'm not tuning in to be entertained. I'm tuning in to be informed. Here we go
Mm-hmm.
over to the DNC. It didn't have a lot of celebrities, although it was really neat the way they did roll call. You
Mm-hmm.
must admit
I,
that will never be done again. I'm sure they will never let that be done again. But I enjoyed it.
mm-hmm.
Um,
I
as
did
far
too.
as the speeches on the one side, the RNC side, they were focused. I have to say that they were focused. The speeches on the DNC side were also focused. And even though you had celebrities, these were the kind of celebrities they brought their celebrities in to entertain, not to persuade you. I don't care that John Legend was there, and I don't care that Oprah was there. You know, that wasn't that wasn't for me because
Mhm.
but they were there because they believe in what they were saying. Then
Exactly.
we get down to the message. What were the policies? You know, that hasn't been refreshed. We believe it me, he's happy. um, we get down to the policies. The policies were stated the same old way. We had heard them, and some of them were questionable as to whether or not they meet the definition of policy. We go
Mm-hmm.
over into the DNC. Although we heard a lot of her biographical information, there's been criticism that there wasn't a lot said about her dad. That's neither here nor there. She chose to talk about her mom, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as what she wanted to say, little by little it was brought out. It
Right.
was culminated by her when she gave her acceptance on that Thursday night. She
Mm-hmm.
gave you all of the policies. She told you, this is what this is what I stand for. She
Mm-hmm.
even clarified her position on Israel,
Yeah.
and it did change. Now, for those of people who will say, "Okay, she's changing her stance," look, if you don't change, you will always have that. But I applaud her for going into the situation as a congressman having certain ideas and being
Mm-hmm.
there long enough and then going into the vice presidency. The more you see, the more you know. So
Yes.
you want a person to go from this is how I feel about um, climate change to this is how I feel about climate change because I know
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot more. So I um I think they were definitely different. I think they were representative of both presumptive nominees, and there is just obvious difference there, you know. And did they sway the vote? I'm not sure. I really am never sure with those things because if
Mm-hmm.
you have too much entertainment, you don't have enough information. How did you feel?
Oh, it. I when I watched both of them because I did do some watching early this morning to make sure, and I was watching both of them, and I was counting and timing to see how long it took the negative to kick in on the other end. I have all
Right.
that written down, but I don't want to get down there and get my notebook. But I and then talking about some of the points he was talking about. Immigration was mostly what
Yes.
Donald
Stop
Trump.
immigration.
He would go and go off into something else, and then he would come back to immigration. He did that probably about 3 or 4 times, if not more than that. talking about the immigration. And he also talked about the same things that Vice President Harris, she was talking about Social Security and Medicare, and she was, and
That's
then they
right.
also talked about the middle class, and she wants to revive the middle class. And then he also, in his, he said something about bringing the middle class back, and like that. But then it didn't take him. I did my timing. It didn't take him long to get into the name calling,
Yes.
and and then get into the distasteful stuff, and then over and over, because they said his speech was like 92 minutes, and hers was not. I don't think hers was quite that long,
No,
but
it wasn't. It was like
uh-huh,
30 minutes less.
but she said some good things, and they did go over some of the same points and said they would improve those things, just like I said, the Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare. And what she was saying, that he was talking about dipping into it and messing with it, but then he was saying that he wants to keep it or whatever he was saying anyway. And so they talked about some of the same things, but
Yes.
then we are going to have to really just be wise and be educated. That's why we're doing this, to try to educate everyone and try to everybody. Excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze, so let me turn my speaker. I think I might make it. Educate everyone and everybody, because we need to really be careful about this, because this is very crucial. And what Kamala Harris was saying is that if the other party gets in there, there are going to be some drastic changes, because the Supreme Court has already started working on that, because he put those people in there so that they could do what he wanted done. And so they've already started there. And so we've already got this immunity
Yes.
issue.
President.
And so we're on dangerous ground right now. And so the people need to weigh the issues, and then think about and determine what is best for everybody. Because I know vote is saying for everybody and all of this, but is it really for everybody, or just a personal thing, for a power thing? And so on one end, it's just a power play, wanting all that power and that dictatorship. So people, we need to do our homework. We need to
Yes.
find out what issues they're running on, or what platform they have, and then you can tell by actions of people if they really mean what they're saying. I know that they can't work miracles, but then there's one side that can do more harm than good, and we have to really, really be what is it? Be serious. I'll say serious about this voting this year, because it is very, very important that we get out and that we vote, and vote for the good of the United States of America. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm going to tell you what we need to vote for, and that's for the health and the good of the United States of America and the people. The people, we are the United
Yes.
States of America. It's a serious business, and we don't have time to be playing around and hum-hawing around. Well, I'm not going to vote because so and so going to get it anyway. Every vote counts, and we're
Absolutely.
going to have to overwhelm the polls this
Yes.
time. It's got to be an overwhelming number of votes in order to achieve what I want to achieve, what I'm voting for. Okay, Dr. Mack. All right, Fresh. Okay, Dr. Mack.
Well, my ending remarks would be to just listen to how it's delivered to you.
Yes.
Remove the hate. We're looking for all people, not just certain people. Let's not let a single personality overshadow. I'm going to say the fight for democracy. Let's not do that. Let's just what's good for all of us. what is the right step forward for all of us, and accept number one, the presumptive nominee is not the president. We don't invite foreign dignitaries down to Mar-Lago. We shouldn't be doing that and having conversations with them. We shouldn't be doing that because just by your identification, it gives credence to, well, you know what you're talking about. You don't go to the Arlington National Cemetery and lay a wreath. If you Arlington is such a solemn place. The minute I saw that picture, I thought that has to be a throwback. Then I looked at it again, and I'm going, "Oh no, we just don't do that. That's
Mm.
just not. That's just not. I don't care who invited you to do it. No one did it. You have other living presidents. You do not have them doing that. You have Clinton. You have Bush. You oh God. You have Mr. Carter. Um, you have President Obama. You have them, but they don't go to Arlington and use it for political advantage. That's using the dead. We just don't do, and we don't name call. We, there's almost you can feel the hate and the anger. You must you must stop all that. I'm done
Yeah.
with that one. I'm
All
sorry.
right. That's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Mack. Thank you. Now we'll go. That was wonderful. Number three, in the race between Colin Allred and Ted Cruz, who do you think will win? What points from each one of them stand out to you? And I guess I'll go ahead. I was just into Ted Cruz and Colin Allred, and it was saying that Colin Allred is like 2 points. There's a 2 point difference in them in one of the polls. So he's doing well, and it's also saying that Colin Allred is he's not being so. I won't say aggressive, but he's not doing just a lot of big rallies now.
Right.
And they asked him why, and then also the media was asking this, said, is that going to work for him? And then later on down in the article, it said it seems like it is going to work for him. And they asked him why is he not doing the big rallies and why is he meeting with the smaller groups? And he said because he likes to talk with the people and he likes to hear the people. And he was saying that Ted Cruz doesn't want to hear what anybody has to say.
That's
And
true.
I was looking, Ted Cruz has been in there since, was it 2013?
12.
20, he's
He's
been
been
in
there.
there a while. And I was trying to find his accomplishments. I know a lot of things that he's fought against, and like some of the things that they have passed because of him. But then I think also that people need to really, like we said, pay attention to the candidates, do what's best for the overall population of the people. And if people would just study these people's what is it, their
Record
platforms and their
and their
accomplishments
records, their
and their
voting record.
records, yes, ma'am, follow those. And some people, they would, I believe, they would change their minds for the best of the people,
Well,
the population would, because you look for things, you see what people have had, they're fighting for, they're trying to change and all of that. But what are their true accomplishments? Have they been accomplishments positive for the population of the United States and of the people here in Texas? And so many of those things have been personal agendas, things that they want to accomplish for themselves, things that they really don't have any business messing with, but just to
that's,
prove that they can get people on their sides and get people to do things that they want done, they will go for these things, and many times they'll accomplish some of these things which they really have no business digging into. And then another thing, what was the other thing I was going to say about that? Uh, People vote. I believe that many times people just vote for people because they've been in there for a while. And I
yeah,
think some summarize in their minds that because they've been in there so long, they must be doing some good service for us. And many times it's not that, is they just get the votes, I believe, because of the mindset of many of the people when they're really not good for the overall population. I think people just vote and say, well, I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to vote for her. They've been in here for so many years, so evidently they must be doing a good job. And then some of these people probably, if you ask them, what has he done for you lately? Well, they wouldn't know. Okay.
Well,
So,
I love that. What have you done for me lately? But I go to Johnny Taylor, keep the home fire burning. And I think that's what Colin already is doing. Now, first of all, he's from Oak Cliff. I mean, yeah, his mom, he's from Oak Cliff. Um, and he said he loves to say, "I'm raised by a single mother." This is a
hmm
this is a neighborhood person who nothing was really given to him. He worked his way up.
hmm
He did his law degree from Berkeley, but he did studies here in Texas at Baylor, at Baylor University. The
hmm
thing that you have to remember about Colin is that Cruz calls him someone hiding in the basement. But
hmm
just as you said earlier, Colin has said, "I want to run a grassroots campaign. I
hmm
want to talk to people. I want people to talk to me."
right.
And he's basically doing that. Um, he was running ads before anyone else. I just saw a cruise ad this week, but
Uh-huh.
Already's been out there for a while. Really, um, he beat Pete Sessions, who was the person in D.C. for a very long time, you
hmm
know, and he considers himself a moderate Democrat,
hmm
meaning that he works on either side. Whatever he will work with the Democrats, he'll work with
With
Republicans. Whatever
Republicans
is best for
and the
the people.
independents too. Yeah, I read that.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the independents and the
Mm-hmm.
other parties because we have other
Yes.
third parties. But whatever is best, what
That's,
do we need to do to get the votes to pass what is best for the state of Texas, therefore, the state of the United States? I am
mm-hmm.
interested in the fact that the different coalitions that he's working with, he's doesn't have like the major funding, and the media here is very quick to point out he's not getting support from um, Vice President Harris campaign. Well, Vice President Harris is running hard. She did give him space on the DNC. He did speak at
Mm-hmm.
at the Democratic National Convention,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't start it that way. We're talking about an ex NFL football player. He played with the Tennessee Titans, and he was cut. But he came out, he did his law school, and that's the kind of guy we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can he meet, as you just pointed out beautifully, this established person who's been in there a number of years? And my picture of him goes back when he was running for president. Do you remember when he was running against Trump and said all these cruel things? And Trump said, and when he fell out of the race, he endorsed Trump. But my
Yes.
other picture is him at the airport when COVID-19 struck and he's headed to Mexico. This is a virus, foolish man, and it will go past the border into Mexico. Or when he's standing up on the floor of the Senate reading a
Book upside. But
child book as part of a filibuster. That's not what I want. Because what you're filibustering about is really not right. But don't do stuff. And he hasn't thrown himself totally into the presumptive nominee. He even speaks the same kind of words, you know, and he wants that endorsement from that particular person.
mm-hmm.
If you're going to make a choice for someone who's trying to do good,
Right.
trying to do something that's going to help everyone.
Right.
Uh,
And so they test the people, and I tell people that these people they know psychology.
yes.
They study human beings. They study habits and all that, and they know how far to go, how much time it takes for adjustment periods and all of that. And then they'll push one thing, do one thing, and then they'll say, oh, well, they know they'll get over it in a few weeks. Then they'll come back and push one other thing and they'll do that. Everybody Well, not everybody, but people get upset and all that, but then they come right back around and put
Yes.
those same people right back in there because they know the psychological makeup of the population, and they try that to the fullest. And people need to realize that these people, many of these people, are playing us. That's what they're doing, because and then they use people because they don't respect us as they should, for one thing, because we vote for them, we put them where they ask us to put them in the positions, and then it seems like many of them get up there and they just forget about us, and they have their own agenda, their own power structured out, and they go for what they will learn in the future. Some of them just go for what they know and just wish, sitting back here, well, didn't I vote for her? Didn't I vote for him? And they say they were going to do this for us, and then sometimes you can't get in touch with them. And then if you do send them, what is it, email? I guess you can email, a phone call or something. Some of them might get back, and they might not. But one thing I can say about Trish, about Our Lady Jasmine Crockett, she will respond. Okay, now I just put that in there. All right, we're talking about Ted Cruz and Colin already. But I believe that, and I want to say, Colin Oliver might not ever see our webcast, but I'm going to say to him to hang in there,
Hmm.
hang in there, because eventually, if it could be this year, it could be the next round, but he will get to where he is aiming to go if he just continues to hang in here.
Okay.
Okay. So, anything else on that, Dr. Mag?
No, I was reading earlier how Colin Aldrich stacks up against Beto O'Rourke, and
Yeah,
although they had some of the same policies, he's doing better polling wise than Beto O'Rourke did. But
right.
again, Beto O'Rourke's style was to have the big crowds, to talk to the
Mm-hmm.
big crowds, and
Mm-hmm.
Collins is just the opposite. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let's hear what you have to say. I'm not out here for a photo shoot, you know, and you know, I believe in this. I'm backing it up on
Mm-hmm.
something that had already been proven, and I really want to do a good job, very much like some of the other younger persons who are going in now.
Mm-hmm. And he said
Okay.
they said he doesn't have a lot of press following him. I think, what did he have?
No.
Did he have? Yeah, and each one that was there, I don't think there were many people in that round table that he had in Houston. And then he allowed them one question
Oh, I
apiece,
didn't.
right? Uh-huh.
I didn't see that one.
And then also they said he has an iPhone following him around, and I think one of his assistants is with him, but he's not taking a big entourage with him wherever
Right.
he goes. And they, like I was saying, they were saying, "Will this work?" And then later on down there, they were saying, "This just might be working for him."
They do call him a natural strategist because
Hmm.
he's approaching his whole campaign differently than
Yeah.
Beto O'Rourke, and that is in many ways throwing crews off.
Hmm.
Because like I said, he's adopted a particular campaign style. The big crowds, the big money, the loud, the
Hmm.
one liners that can lead off a newscast. But
Yes.
that's not what I want. I don't need you to be a showman. When I want entertainment, I'm going to go to Kevin Hart or someone that being paid to entertain me.
Yes. That's wonderful. That's the way to say it. Number five. Number four. Okay, this is sent in by Overseer Bertha Dunn. A
Yes,
suggested question: how strong are the churches in our communities, our neighborhoods? Now we're taking a turn here. How strong are our churches? And I guess I would say the churches are still the church. The church people don't. I know they're talking about the congregations evidently, but the church is still strong. The church itself is still strong. Now, what about the people that are like the houses and what the sanctuaries and what how much influence do they have? I think that people will continue to go to and attend the houses of worship. And I know the question is probably based on a falling away of many people, but I think there will always be someone that's going to go to the church for because the church can help them. And we look at the church as the building, but what did Jesus say? Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So the
That's right.
church itself is established by Jesus Christ will always have power. Now, will the people that attend maintain what they need to maintain by serving God and being an example? We know that people fall away each and every day, but we are not. He's telling us not to keep our eyes on the people, but keep our hearts turned toward God. And by keeping our hearts turned towards God, we will see that God never fails. And the church itself, which is established by God, it will never, ever, ever fail. And so it is still strong. It's still strong.
Well, I'm sorry.
And she said in the neighborhoods. Now some people, oh, excuse me, in the neighborhoods, and some you see, like some churches, you might not have but one or two people attending on a Sunday, but those one or two people do have somewhere to go. And people see them going in and out. They might not ever go in and out with them, but they do see that example of people. So there's always somebody to go in and out, in the neighborhood churches. So I believe that the church serves the purpose that it's supposed to serve.
For me, we have to separate the building from the belief, as you
Exactly.
said earlier. For me, the church the word church can be talking about the building.
Hmm.
I like the definition that the late Larry Rowland used. The church is the body of believers,
Right. That's
body
it.
of believers inside.
That's it.
Regarding the neighborhood church, well, that has changed. It has changed, but the purpose for it being there is the same. But
Hmm.
it too has is going through a transition, just like everything else.
Hmm.
This body of believers, as you said, may not have the same numbers that it had before, but the ones who are there do believe, they do follow the scripture, they do understand the doctrines, and they go on. Now, this is a neighborhood church, and the neighborhood church is just like Dolphus Weary wrote many years ago in the book, I Ain't Coming Back No More. And what it is with him, he was an itinerant preacher, who had 2 Sundays or maybe one Sunday, but he preached every Sunday of the month, but it may not have been in the same building.
Right.
And his wasn't coming back. I'm not coming back. I'm gonna give this up. It's not working and all that. But what he eventually discovered, and I thought it was just really wonderful the way he put it. What he eventually discovered is you work with the ones who are there. The
Exactly.
absentee leadership in the neighborhood church affects the neighborhood.
Hmm.
You have a leader who does not live, maybe lives miles away from where that church is. Consequently, you are not aware of the problems in that neighborhood unless you have persons who will talk to you as a leader now.
Hmm.
Unless though you got someone in that church that's gonna say, well, that school is not doing, it's failing the kids,
Hmm.
or that that house around the corner is a house of ill repute, and we need to do something about it.
Hmm.
Or Sister Jenny down there is 83 years old and she doesn't even have Meals on Wheels. Those are the things that church is supposed to do. Or we had a couple of kids die from fentanyl poison, Pastor. I mean, bring those things up that are
Right.
relevant to the members of that congregation, and you will get the numbers back in there. But there's for many there's no relevance. That it's the building, and I'm sorry that they don't understand the body of believers part. It's
Mhm.
the building and the absentee leadership that they're seeing. You
Mhm.
know, there's a halfway house down the street, and this absentee leader drives by in his new car every week with his wife and all the pretty clothes and the expensive perfume and the hoes that cost more than their lunch did all week, and never stops to invite the persons who are needing a sense of inclusion and recovery inside the quote unquote church, the building, church. So
Mhm.
that's where the neighborhood is falling back a little, and their reasoning, they're they're varied, but the point is it's gonna take some work for them to get back, but
Yeah.
just like everything else, work.
Yes. And most of all, it tells us people can see you and they can tell if
Yeah,
you Christ is in you, and that draws people to your countenance and the spirit of God that's inside you if they see you. And then, like you're saying, there might not be many people in there, but the ones that are in there, they're being blessed by God, and then people are
right.
seeing them. People see them. They might not say anything, but they see when people are showing up. And they can tell you, if you go to a neighborhood now, those people might not have set, some of the people might not have set foot in the church. But that's a church that right down there, down the street. And they open this time and that time and that time. They can tell you the schedule,
Everything.
everything about the church.
It's
And they
true.
might not have ever set foot in that church, but they
Right.
know about that church. And you're talking
Yeah.
about some of the people don't have. I remember when I first, well, Ella Davis and I were first married to each other, and I had come here, and I was at the radio station because I've been doing radio and TV for decades. But and so I had a broadcast, and so I was up there one day to do some makeup time because something had happened at one of the times of my broadcast, and so I didn't get to do it, so the station manager set a time for me to come and do it. So I was sitting there waiting on my turn, and one of the pastors from this area came in, and so we were introduced to each other. And so that pastor told me, he said, "I hope when I see you a year from now, you won't be like these other pastors' wives." And I'm
Wow.
like, okay, you know, I'm
You are
thinking, well, what is going on? If there's a negative vibe, and I know all the pastors' wives are not, no way bad, but somebody has given him some kind of bad feeling. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so many
Impression.
people, like you were saying, they drive by in their cars. Some people won't give other people the time of day, and so we have to not do that. Everybody is somebody. And believe it or not, some people will might attend uh, a worship session, and then if people don't entreat them, if they don't speak to them, and those people will not go back anymore because they don't feel any love or anything like that. So we have to really be careful and be careful in how we treat people and make sure that we greet people. Some people make sure they when the people leaving out the door, the pastor goes back there and he shakes the hands, and sometimes the pastor's wife goes with him to let the people know that we are so happy to see you today, and you come back the next time. So we just have to change our attitude. Sometimes we get so caught up in the same old things that we take people for granted. Many people do. And so we're going to have to watch ourselves. We have to work on ourselves to make sure that we're treating people like we want to be treated. I don't know whether I just went off into something, but anyway, being a pastor's wife is very important that you be kind to the people. And as a pastor's wife, I didn't uh, like, some people have people, this is my bestie, this is my bestie, this is my favorite, and all that. I didn't get caught up in that,
No.
and I didn't get common. I always say I'm the pastor's wife, and I respect you, and you respect me as a pastor's wife. And I didn't like get on a common thing, like, oh girl this and oh girl, oh man this, that kind of stuff. I made sure that I stayed in a position where people would respect me as the pastor's wife, as the first lady, because I definitely was going to treat them respectfully in every way. And that was what I did, and I aimed to do it. Whenever they was married to each other, that has a lot to do with the attitude of the leadership. And even though the pastor might be kind and loving toward the people, if the pastor's wife is not kind and loving toward the people, that will turn people completely off. And then it could be vice versa. She could be loving to the people, and the pastor could be stuck up. Understand? And that
Mm.
turns a lot of people off, because when people come to the church, I don't know what time it is. Your clock before you?
uh, I think I've said enough on that one.
No, it's your clock in front of you. I'm trying to get the time.
Oh, it is, yes. It is 1:53.
Oh, okay.
1:53. We
Oh,
still have time.
okay. When Elder Davis and I were married to each other, I told him, I said, Elder Davis, I will be an asset to you. I will never be a liability. And I kept that because I came to help him, not to hinder the ministry. And that's what I did. And here I am, still carrying it on. And
Yeah.
he's been gone now since 2007. And God has blessed me. I had no idea that God brought me here to carry the ministry on. But I do it, and I do it with joy. So, Greater Gospel Temple is available, everybody, 24/7. Now, okay, how can we draw people back to the church? And I can stand on what I said: be kind and loving, and let the people know that you care. That's my uh, take on that, and especially the young adults. People have to want to come. And what I would say to you, if you're looking for a place to go and worship, a physical sanctuary, go and give the people a chance. Don't go by what you heard about people. Some people say things because they're jealous and envious of people. But just go and see for yourself. Ask God to direct you to where He wants you to be. Okay?
With regard to how to get them back in, it has
Hmm.
to be relevant. I
Yes.
realize that we start off with, we need to take care of, the word, sharing the
Hmm.
word, teaching how to believe the word and all that. But it's
Hmm.
hard to do if we don't have the basic necessities. It's almost analogous to this current phrase that, if a kid is hungry, he can't learn. Well, the same thing is hungry. If the wood chipper comes in and there's some other things going on and you're not taking
Hmm.
care of those things, for
Hmm.
example, do you have someone in there who can work with someone who is being physically, sexually, financially, and otherwise abused? Do you have someone in there who's sort of an unofficial job recruiter? Goes out of his or her way to make sure, well, there's a job here that is on a bus route, or there's a job here that's available for, DART or train or whatever. You have to
Hmm.
get those basic things. And see, that's where the young adults see the failure. They aren't
Hmm.
seeing the connection between the words of Peter and the words of what needs to be done now. Because
Hmm.
Peter's words are just as relevant now as they were when he wrote them
Exactly.
to the church at Corinthians and Thessalonians and Galatians. They're just as relevant. But again, if we can't take care of that first part, we'll never get to the second.
Uh-huh.
And I can go on and on, but I
Right.
won't.
That's all right. We'll have some more time to do that. And the thing is people, like you said, the relevant things like maybe the counseling and all that. All of the congregations don't have that. But one thing is they should, I'm sure they know someone who has it. And then some of the people that are looking for a place to be a part of in fellowship, some of those people have those skills and
Yes,
they can come in and be an asset to that ministry when they come in and they get the training and they learn what the congregation is all about and what they stand for, their doctrine and all of that. If they're willing to learn the ministry, and then they can gradually be placed in a position where they can help. So don't just turn away because somebody doesn't have what you feel they should have. You could be a part of that, or you could have connections where you could draw other people to that ministry to be an asset to that ministry. And so I would encourage people to do that. Now, Dr. Mack, you go into your one of your suggestions, media's role and responsibility in society. I will
they
let you.
must, they must be responsible. They do have a role. The thing that we have to understand is that the different things. There's
Mhm,
media that is informative. I am
mhm,
listening to this, I'm writing this, I'm reading this because I want to know more. There's media to entertain. I need a break from reality. It's called escapist literature. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch my Western. And
mhm.
it's black, white, good, bad, nothing. I don't have to think through it. I just want to do that. Or I want to watch an old sitcom. There's media. You've got the informative, the entertaining, and then you have that media that's supposed to make you think. Can I take this from real simple stuff to something that really means more? Is this
Mhm.
actually real, or did someone? We're in the technology age, the AI age. So how much of this is real, and how much of this? And I won't use it because the other presumptive nominee likes to say fake news. But how much of it is creative? How
Mhm.
much is it creative? And what we have to do, the one word we have to remember: forget about the ratings. We write outlandish things, and I have enjoyed hearing some of the national persons speak up. Why are we covering this person saying these ugly things? Here is J.D.
Mhm.
Vance saying Kamala
Mhm.
needs to go to hell. That you can't be a teacher if you don't have children, and that and if you don't have children, you're a cat lady, and that's all you do is play with the cats. Well, I have Sylvester, and I don't play with him all the time. But first of all, that's ugly, harsh media. That's nasty media.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve a single purpose. But people are listening. You have
Mm.
all kinds of podcasts and webcasts and things out there that they are designed for the hate and the,
Right.
just disgusting kind of things. But then, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. Let's
Right.
use media for what it's supposed to be. It's a means of communication. It's a means
And
of communication, and we just do it fairly, then all will be well.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I'm going to let that be our closing remarks for today. Thank you so much,
Wow.
Dr. Mack. I have enjoyed, as usual, being here with you on the Mother's Board Inc. And I thank you so much for all of your wisdom and your information. And I tell you, I'm just so thankful. We make a great team. And so maybe
Yeah,
next
we
week,
do.
Overseer Don will be able to join us. She had an appointment today.
Okay.
And then Evangelist Claudine, she maybe next week she might be, because I did talk with her last night and she told me she had something that was very important that she had to do today, very necessary. And so
Okay.
we talked about that. So we love you, everybody, and we thank you so much for being with us. And we pray and trust that God will continually bless you over and over again. And those blessings will overtake you in the name of Jesus. Join us. Oh, tomorrow night. What is it? Friday tomorrow at 7:39, and Sunday at 7. a.m. for Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries, the Saturday evening Bible lesson section, and Sunday morning manna from heaven. On Tuesday is Point of View. On Wednesday is from the Biblical Files of Dr. Mack. On Thursday is Point of View. And then on Friday, we come right back to the Mother's Board, God willing. We love you all so much. Thank you for being with us. Love you, Dr.
Okay.
Mack.
Love you too. Bye bye.
Okay.